Hello and welcome to another Elliott Wave analysis. Today I want to talk about Apple. Right. I don't usually do stocks. Right. The last time I did Apple was March 23. Sorry. Yeah. So right. What did I do then is that I suggested that we have done a wave A, wave B, right, and we should be going into a wave three, right, because this is a wave one of C, wave two of C, wave three of C, right. Wave three of C should be where I think we are going. Okay, so stop was actually here around 229, and take profit is 168. So what happens since then is simply okay. So price move up here, right, and then it came down and very close to our target of 168.6, right? Missed by just 80 cents, right? So this is a very successful idea. Okay, so what happens since then, right? So basically this is the uh, a chart that's not updated, right? So over here, I'll just do a live analysis on this, and we will see where this brings us, right? So I did not prepare uh, this one beforehand. Okay, so firstly, to remove those things that clutter this whole chart, right? So this we do not need already, right? So support and resistance doesn't look to be valid really, so let's remove this. Okay, so right, some of the things maybe not so easy to remove because they are overlaying each other, right? So let's do this with C together. Okay, so we have this this is where I put it as one, right? Then I put it as two previously. So now this becomes two, right? It becomes a two. What I can put here, it doesn't really matter because we don't want to be restricted by those minor noises, right? So this should be the correct count, right? Now let me change this degree a bit. So this was intermediate degree, right? So intermediate degree. What this means is that this should also be an intermediate degree. And then we have we'll probably have this ABC, right, at the primary degree level. Hmm. Right, so this primary degree level should be around here. Okay, some of this has run off a bit. Okay, so this is primary degree, and my primary degree is black. Now, usually what I would do then is I want to confirm if this is the end, right? So obviously for you can see from here, right, that this is this should already be the end, right? Because it really goes back up here, right? And so this Fibonacci is really just a secondary, just for us to take a look at whether there's some Fibonacci relationship over here, right? Not very strong. I don't really like a 1 is to 0 0.5 kind of relationship, but for now, I think this is correct, right? So let me remove this since I have the prepping count here already. Right, so at least until 9th April, right, we have Apple has completed this ABC correction, right? So then we now move to this portion, right? After 9 April, what has happened? Okay, so for this, I would say that the clearer count is probably something like this, right? A, B, C. Okay, so let's move this down 1 degree first. Okay, then we need to look at this and this, right? This makes a new high. So if you are bullish on Apple, right? Then what happens is that you will try to force this into what I call it leading diagonal, right? So then this one becomes a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? This, in terms of wave structure, you can see that this is actually not very nice, right? This is not very nice. So this will not be my primary count, right? But I just want to show you, like for example, alternate count. A bullish count would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you have a 2, and then this probably going to a 3. So this will actually fly up higher, right? But this is not my primary count, right? What I think this whole thing is that this will be a irregular correction, right? That is likely to be I should say that this one should be something like this. Oh, yeah, so it's ABC X ABC, right? Even though it doesn't really look very nice again. Okay, so I always believe in the beauty of wave structure, right? So at this point in time, you can adjust things like this, right? It doesn't really at some point in time, it doesn't really impact your analysis of this whole move, right? It can be this like ABC, and then you have another wave up. So this one becomes a combination, right? Double combination. Okay, so whether this ABC or this ABC or like what I did just now, right? That this is X ABC, right? It's actually more or less the same, right? So before we do any changes, then we look at this move here, this last unlabeled wave. What can it be? For now, what I see is probably like this. Uh, so if I put this as the bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's probably something like this 1, 2, 3. Um, So within this hour, you actually have a choice whether you're gonna do this or this. Doesn't matter that much, unless when you're gonna do a confirmation. Okay, so for now, I will just put this as like a B C, and then a 5 wave, right? What you see over here, then it becomes what we call a flat. Okay, even though this is like a irregular kind of flat, right? Because you have a 3 wave, and then a 5 wave. Okay, so in terms of Elliott wave, um, sometimes it's not too clear. Then you look at other more traditional technical setup, right? So for now, we can see, this. You look at this line. This is the price line, right? The red color one, and this is the pre-market. What's happening in the pre-market is basically affected by the futures. Um, so looking at this, just looking at the red one, it stretched across this, what I would call a resistance zone. Okay, this is a resistance zone, right? To make it even clearer, so for example, I draw a triangle over here. Okay, so at this point in time, you will see that if I expand this resistance zone, you will see that there are a few. places. If you see this, this is not part of the resistance zone, but over here you have C1 point, and around this area you have also other turning. You want to look for turning points, right? Turning points. Um, so this one, if I extend a bit, you can see more turning points within this area, including this, right? Then over here you have one, two, three. So these are the more recent ones. So we actually give the more recent support or resistance, right? More significance, right? So over here you will see that I have one here, okay. I have two here, right? This is slightly also another resistance, right? Based on how we draw it, right? But within this area we also have this support. So why do we need to identify support? Is because support will turn into resistance, right? So this tells us that, within these points, let me bring this down, you overlap a bit the labeling, right? So this area tells us that, we do have some support and resistance over here, right? So wave structure as a flat plus a few of these resistance here, okay. And then let me just put in another trend line, okay. So this trend line stretch over here tells us that there could potentially be another target here, right? So if you are very concerned whether there is going to go up some more, then we need to go down. We need to drill down the time frame, okay, and then we look at how this wave has set up, okay. So over here, what I see is maybe a one, two, three, four, five, right? So the difficulty over here is really to identify whether this is a one, two, three, four, five. Right? Anyway, let's take this as one wave, then wave two, then maybe one, two, three, four, right, and five. Okay. So there is a chance that there is another wave here that will bring us to this trend line here, right? So how I would draw this, right? So that we are clear on this is like one, two, maybe a tree here, right? And maybe a tree here. So this one becomes irregular kind of a correction. Okay, maybe a four that will stop here and five. Okay, so let's move this degree down. Right. So then we have this potential formation, right? That will bring us to this trend line. Okay, but of course, if you don't uh, look at these, if you don't look at this in the lower time frame, and you just, if let's say you do an hourly, everything becomes like kind of absorbed, right? And you just really want to know whether this is a good risk reward trade. Okay, so um, if you do this here, your stop loss is here, right? Slightly above the trend line because we do not know whether there will be a throwover. And you probably want to do it um, here somewhere, I can draw a trend line over here, right? Just to get this target. Okay, maybe shift a bit. If you can say, you want this, if you think that this is going to come, it will take some time to come down, right? So these are rough gauge. Then you have this. Okay, so this is a bearish count. And what does this mean? Is that this big wave structure, if you think that this is the correct one, this big ABC, right, is not the end, right? What this means is that this ABC becomes a W, right? This becomes a W at a super cycle level, right? So cycle level, right? And what this means is that usually I use a red color for cycle level, right? So W, and then you have X. This is definitely not ideal because X usually unfolds in three waves, right? Unfold in three waves. So and this, even though it is a correction in the Elliott wave world, right? It's not exactly ideal, but it's acceptable, right? And you have a Y that it should brings you down all the way to below 168. Okay, and if we go into the daily, right? If you just want to see roughly where can it go, I will usually use a fourth wave again, right? My preferred is always a fourth wave, right? You can read out the text on Islet Wave regarding this, right? But this will then be my target, 124, right? It's just 2 years ago, right? This may not even be low enough, right, for a real target, for a real correction, okay? But this is where I would say a realistic target is, right, for Apple, right? And how long will it take? How long will it take, right? So we can do what this is called a date range, right? You can use a date and price range also. Okay, so you do this and you go to here, right? Over here you see that it takes 69 bars. Okay, so 69 trading session. Okay, and how I will usually do is I'll just move this whole thing here. Okay, and we will see where this goes. If you if you are able to see this, right? Let me go down to hourly to make sure that I'm more or less precise over here. Right. So if you take my stop loss here, right, and where I put this here, or I can even shift it. Let me just shift this down a bit, okay, to where this peak is, okay. Um. Okay. So what I'm trying to do over here is, okay. So let's say I move this thing down to where this. Let's assume that there's no more waves here, right? And let's say I go to here 213.61. Okay, roughly here, right? Right, roughly here. Then we go back to the daily again. So what I'm trying to say is when you do this, you start to realize that sometimes there is some relationship. So if this is a 1 to 1, right? This is a 1:1, then it will hit nicely, right? Around here, 1 to 2, and our target is 1 to 4.17, right? This is 1 to 2.87. But if I put it at where the trend line is, right, where just now I put the trend line, okay, what happens then is that when I look at the target again, it actually matches exactly at 1 to 4.27. Okay, so on the bigger picture, if you think that this you are a positional trader, right, and you kind of hate Apple or something, you're a diehard Linux or Microsoft fan, whatever the reason, okay, or you just trust in this analysis, you will have a target of between 1 to 4.17 and 1 to 5.39, somewhere around there, right? So this will then be your ultimate target. Okay, so this is the analysis for Apple itself, right? So I went through like how I draw this alert wave, right? How I outdated this, right? And if you have seen my previous analysis video, you can just filter on AAPL, right, where I explain the how I draw this entire wave up to be a five wave, including the ending diagonal, right? And this looks like a rising wedge, right? How I did the price projection for 168, and now you see exactly how I do it live, right? On how I do this projection for Apple all the way down to this 1 to 4.17, right? And also, if you look at this, how I think that there might be a final wave up, but I also explain why it doesn't really matter if you are having a positioner and you don't really want to pick the top, right? Because we look at risk reward and it's good. And I also look at this support and resistance, right? To say that, okay, this is actually a good shot for Apple. So over here, let me go back to the daily so that you can look at the big picture again. Okay. And yeah, so this is the Apple short idea. Okay, so as usual, manage your risk and good luck in your trading. Thank you.